Can we start? Sure. So projects, the one tool that students will need and will use to get their projects or their group work in order. Projects, the app that emphasizes on collaboration, simplicity, and clarity. Projects is brought to you by Team 50/50, consisting of Matthew Choke and myself, Matthew Ho. And today we are here to present to you what Projects is about. Well, as you know, in school right now, Projects is integral to a student's life. It is no longer about doing it alone, rather about solving problems together. It is not uncommon to see a module in business, for example, to have 2 or more projects for a single module in a single semester. And this is common even for engineering or social sciences. So what this means is that a lot of students are actually familiar with the idea of doing projects with others. Even so though, there are problems abound. There's always frustration in doing projects for students. We've interviewed many students on campus itself, and we found out that it actually takes up a lot of time and energy for them to coordinate these projects. And why is this so? Because of 2 reasons. They tend to overmanage, they find it difficult to manage, and secondly, they tend to overmeet. And this is purely due to the fact that we find that they find it difficult to communicate, manage, and coordinate their projects. But you ask us, why is that so? I mean, aren't there tools available? Definitely there are tools available, but we find that they are actually not at all suitable for a student project. If you think about it, your traditional project management tools such as Trello, a great app, a fantastic app, great for startups, great for small, medium enterprises, and great for organizations. But really, if you think about it, your average student, your typical like Matthew, myself, for example, do you really see us using Trello? Do you really see us going around trying to connect with others, trying to manage our projects with Trello? And the answer is no. And why is that so? We find that it's normally obscure to the general student population. They don't really know about Trello, for instance, and even if they do know about it, secondly, they find that there are too many bells and whistles. There's your comments button, there's different charts for Trello, and even in your typical project management tool, you have your Gantt chart, you have your progress status, and there's too many things for them to manage, and they find it too overwhelming. Now, if it's not project management tools, then what? Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you have your social tools, your WhatsApp, your Facebook, your emails, great as well. Easy for students to use. But if you think about it, have you seen a group chat before with like 3 to 5 students? The amount of threads that you have to go through to really understand what the progress is like for your projects is really too insanely difficult. It's difficult to delegate and near impossible to track and manage. So we think that these 2 types of tools aren't really suitable for your students when they want to manage projects. And what's really important is something that is purely devoted to a student project, that is simple enough, collaborative enough, and clear enough. And we bring you projects. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Oh. Sorry, can you give us a moment while we connect the sound port? I'm sorry about that. Sure. Let me just get it. Sorry. So we bring to you projects, our solution to making student life easy. And when we developed this, we based this on 3 basic elements: collaborative, simplicity, and clarity. And these 3 elements are essential to making projects commercially successful and user-friendly to the typical student. Now, firstly, collaborative, making it as collaborative as possible. Now, what does this mean? This means that we want to make it as easy as possible for your students not only to use it, but for your students, but for our students, NUS students, to easily add your other NUS peers in your fellow friends in the same modules. What this means is that we have built in an IVL integration. So once they sign in with their NUS email accounts, they'll easily be able to add their NUS group mates for projects in different modules, making it easy for them to coordinate with their friends. Secondly, promoting simplicity. We want to strip away the excess complexities and everything else, all the bells and whistles that are typical in a project management tool. So what we've done is that we've stripped it down to really the essential needs. And what we felt is that there are 3 important things in the project management tool for students. Firstly, a to-do list. Secondly, a list of completed tasks. And thirdly, who is responsible. So as we'll demonstrate later, what we've done is that we've just simply have 2 simple columns for each project. A to-do list, a completed task, and you can easily assign your fellow students into the different tasks that are available. Also, in promoting simplicity, we want to make it as easy as possible for students to use it, to minimize the learning curve, to negate it, so that they can easily get on board with the platform. Now, to do this, we've introduced a gesture-based interface that is both intuitive and easy to use, and we believe that this will help to enable the adoption. Lastly, in creating clarity, we've done that partly by minimizing all the bells and whistles to the 3 minimum things that they will need. Moreover, we've added live notifications. Now, what this means is that when you are in the same project with your other team members, as long as I make a change to the status of the project, for example, once I've completed one task, my other members will actually be able to see what has been done so that he is able to manage his expectation and the group's expectations. So now that this app has been developed, the 2 Matthews ourselves are actually grouped in a same project group. And Matthew Chook is the more tech-savvy person, and he's actually introduced me to projects. And we're using it for the first time, so we're going to show you how this actually goes about. So this has been signed on to my NUS email account, so I'll just leave it here for a moment.
Okay, it's fine. All right. So Matthew Ho and I are in a project right now. So I'm going to introduce him to the project's app. And what happens is I've already keyed in my NUS email address and my password, and I'm going to sign in. So this will allow me to access my NUS modules. Whoops.
Your security works.
Yeah, definitely. One moment. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project by swiping down, and I'll type in a title. Okay. I'm going to, so right now it's pulling actually from the NUS servers, and I can search for Matthew Ho, for example. And that's how easy it is to actually create a new project. So right now we're going to allocate some tasks between us. Perhaps it's possible to tap into that project as well, so you can see the changes. So I'm going to create a couple of tasks and assign them So that's the first task. I'm sending a couple of tasks to both me and Matthew Ho as well. Right, so we have a couple of tasks, and they should be showing up on your screen as well. So we've decided that we want to do this over 5 days, and hopefully by next week we are done with our project. But Matthew Ho is a little bit lazy, so he's not going to do anything in 5 days. At the end of 5 days, I've done my work, and I want to show him that, hey, I have done my work. So I'm going to swipe over this task to the next screen, and he should receive a live notification as well in a while. Okay, so, and right now, Matthew Ho is a bit guilty now, so he's going to complete his task and show me that, indeed, he has also done his work.
It's actually not either completed. Can you try it again?
Sure. I'll try that again. Yeah.
Okay.
You've completed your task? All right. Hopefully we can see it in a couple seconds.
So right now, so Matthew Ho has completed his task. So I'm a bit guilty right now. So I'm actually a bit late. I've done this on the 16th. So once I've done this, I'll actually update the status of my own project for the first section. I'll actually slide it over. That's really good. But somehow this is not showing at the current moment. Can you go back to your to-do list?
Sure. Yep.
I think it's refreshing, actually. Oh, yeah.
Okay, for some...
So with like the weird Wi-Fi connection and everything over here. But so this is actually a live feed of whatever the status is of the project. So everyone can actually have a first-hand view of what has been done and what needs to be done still. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. So now that we've demonstrated the application itself, so what is next then? What else needs to be done? So we've wanted to make this as possibly commercially successful as possible in the sense that it will really be used by your typical NUS student. So we didn't want to develop something that was just for the sake of iCreate. We wanted something that your students could actually use. So we are proposing 2 things. So firstly, the project will be made available to both NUS students and to the general public. And why do we say that? For something to be used by NUS students, it has to be firstly receptive to the public as well. So what this means is that the public can also get to use it, and I as an NUS student can choose to use this app with my mom, for instance. What are the possible cases of using it then? Well, firstly, we can have a list of groceries to get, for instance. When you are with your roommates, you can have a list of things to do to plan your parties tonight, a list of food to prepare, a list of drinks to get. So there are numerous possibilities of using projects, not just for your student group work, but for a variety of users. And secondly, a web release, a web-based version to complement projects, the mobile app. And this is important because if you look at your typical project management tool, for example, Trello, they typically incorporate a web-based version so that it's easy for them to have a checklist as well on their computer, and both on their computer and on their mobile app. So that's why we think this is also the next step to go. And with that, and with these 2 things in mind, we've come to the end of our presentation and want to again highlight the importance of having a mobile app developed for project management for students, and that is projects brought to you by Team 5050. Thank you. So we'll take actually questions now. Thank you.
So do you plan to have this on Android?
Sometime in the future, why not?
Yeah.
Our current milestones are, as I explained, so maybe Android will be the third platform.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like the application in some sense. Just a word of warning in some sense, right? I think your sweet spot is really the simplicity, and for a certain age, because if you start making it too complex, too big, I think you are encroaching into areas where you have better competitors and have more resources than two of you. So the part where you actually do the pulling out of all the students' information, do you have plans to do for your address book, for example, on things like that?
So currently, it actually ties into the address book as well. In fact, when you connect to IVLE, it actually pulls your student information and adds integrates it with your address book and shows you one full list. Okay. And you can search between IVLE and your address book at the same time. Okay.
I think another key part which is very important, you mentioned two things that's important, the task and who's doing it. I think the deadlines, like all projects, I think that's a big portion that is missing. And in some sense, the dependencies. I think in any projects, right, there's always dependencies. I can't move without you completing your stuff. And of course, the deadlines. Is that purposely out of the two? It's a lot, or you just, oops, I didn't think about it. So.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, we debated a lot about it.
Yes.
So this is well, this whole baby first came from Matthew Choke's idea. So his idea has always been simplicity. So I've always been, why don't we add this? Why don't we add that? Why don't we have this as well? So and at the end of it, I think it boils down to what the users really need. And to be honest with you, we've thought about all those things, and we're just keeping it as minimal as possible now, so that everyone who uses it actually can get used to it and actually will want to use it. And if actually we get the reception, further reception once we've released the app, because we've also consulted our friends and everything, and they think that this is fine enough. And once we do get further reception from the public, and if there's a need for like deadlines or interdependencies, we'll try to bring that in. But we won't want to do too much of it, because as you said, once we encroach into that space of like a commercial project management, this actually pales in comparison greatly. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that
it's the same as the first thing.
It could be the same as the first thing, but I might. Okay, I didn't have anything else. I think it just slipped my mind. Yeah, but to be honest, we debated a lot about it. So we're going to keep it as it is right now.
Right. Because I feel that that's a key element of projects. But I will throw it back as a challenge to your team, is that if you can still make that simple and easy to use, I think then you might have something going on here.
Yeah. This is the web base is like the next step, So we're just gonna like keep it as simple as we can right now in terms of as well as manpower, because Matthew Choke here is primarily the developer, and he's like been taking classes like throughout the holidays as well. So this is like the most that we can do, for the past few weeks.
So in keeping with this simplicity, I would assume that you can actually take out members and put in members along the way.
So that's right. You can actually add members to a pre-existing group, and they'll be able to see whatever tasks have been already added. But you cannot remove members once they've been added. So they will have to leave on their own accord.
No, I meant to the tasks.
To the class.
So let's say for someone now, Matthew didn't do his job, and you'll find that he's taking too long. You switch him with another person that is free. Can that be done?
Yeah, of course. You can change the members allocated to a task. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you won't know. So basically for this case now, there's no way for you to track when he's supposed to finish his things.
At present, not.
Unless you put it inside the text somewhere.
Sure.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking along the lines that you said 5 days. So in a simple scenario where there's only one project, you remember that 5 days I need to do this.
Right.
But when let's say now you have 3 of these projects, not going to remember when you need to finish that thing when.
Yeah. So it's actually going back to the same idea that you guys think that we need to build in some sort of deadline here, and to an extent, I guess we agree. And this is the second thing that I was thinking about just now, but I forgot about it. Is the fact that we have to remember that members, your students won't be relying on projects solely. They'll probably be using a multitude of apps, for example, WhatsApp and Facebook, as well as projects. So projects, we are using it to cover the base of really managing the projects itself. But we can still see them having a lot of interaction with their other group members, on WhatsApp. So there'll be deadlines there. There'll be some sort of rushing over there. There'll be a lot of interaction over there. And this is just to cover the base purely for your project management. So I guess that's why we were also emphasizing a lot on really minimizing it and not having too much bells and whistles.
So expecting this to be a high overview and everything else they go figure on their own, like WhatsApp, all this. Sure. So in that scenario, I don't know, maybe moving on, would there be a case where this will tie in somehow to WhatsApp? So if I create a group here, automatically WhatsApp will create a group. Then they can chat and somehow these things will come in as well.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, see. So now you're saying that, okay, let's say now there's this team presentation project that's there with you, John, Percy, and Matthew Ho. Then this will store all purely your tasks.
Right.
They're expected to go find another communication channel to discuss and collaborate and whatnot. So if you want, talking about simplicity, then wouldn't it be simpler that if let's say now you create this team, automatically maybe in WhatsApp that team will be created as well?
I guess it will be possible if there's some sort of tie-in with WhatsApp or a chat platform as well. Actually, we also considered building a chat platform into the app itself, but it seems like there is too much overlap in what we already use. So, as you mentioned, this is just a way to see at a high level what's going on away from all the chat. Yeah,
and if you think about it, if WhatsApp wants to buy over this app, then definitely it will be inbuilt into the WhatsApp platform.
Actually, I'm just thinking along the lines of what's the difference between these and a simple to-do app with, let's say, categories, for example.
So typical to-do apps are not really collaborative at this stage. There are some, but we feel that this is a way to also quickly add people and assign responsibilities in integration with your class roster and things like that. It makes it very easy to search. So it's we're trying to optimize all the different conveniences into one app, basically.
Because I realize there's like a to-do there for you, other groceries.
Yeah, as in those are other use cases that are possible that we find along the way. It could be useful for this.
Yeah. So even in
Get the danger that I'm talking about, because if you start expanding it, you get into other competitions. You don't really
So as Matthew chokes it, even in a typical to-do list, it's based solely on your own. So even let's say for groceries, it doesn't necessarily has to be something that you're doing yourself. I have to do groceries with my mom and my dad, and we sometimes have difficulties keeping track of what is bought, for instance. So something like projects actually helps it much easier because we're able to see what needs to be bought and what has been bought and who actually bought them. Thank you for your time. Thanks.